we've talked about your writing process. How about can we get into a little bit of your writing practice? So, like, when do you write? How do you write? Are there things that you do to kind of help stay motivated, disciplined?
Yeah, all that
How do you go
stuff.
about writing?
Well, I am like the world's worst at discipline,
Hmm.
really suck at it. And so I have to use a whole lot of tricks to kind of make myself do it. Um, and the thing is, I love writing, and pretty much everybody who writes, I think, feels this way. I love writing, but it's sort of like there are 18,000 different things in a day that will get in your way. And I'll feel guilty about not doing those things because I'm writing, and then I'll feel guilty about writing and not doing those things. And so it just kind of the downward spiral, you know how that works.
Hmm.
Um, what I try to do to get out of that is to keep myself a little space of time every day where I just write. And it doesn't even have to be a lot. I was really heavy into setting word goals, word count goals and stuff like that for a while. And then I found that that just made it harder for me. I would not reach a word count goal and then I'd beat myself up because I hadn't reached the word count goal and all this other kind of jazz. So now my goal is just to daily advance the story on whatever the primary thing is that I'm working on. And I let that definition be anything. Okay,
Mm.
it can be anything. It means if I want to go back and edit a scene that I've already written, that counts. If I write new scenes, that counts. The one stricture that I have on that is that I have to write at least 2 new scenes a week. And hopefully, those scenes, move it along enough and without having a word count attached to it too. Sometimes they'll be really short scenes, sometimes they'll be longer and more interesting. But that way I'm able to get into it a little more and without the pressure of checking to see how many words I've written. Because I'm
Hmm.
one of those idiots who I'll write something and then I'll backspace over the whole thing. It's just
Yeah.
like so it's not the easiest thing I ever do, but that's what I'm doing right now to try to help me kind of stay on track. And um, I have a good bit of the sequel to Stars already written. The working title for it is Beyond the Stark Horizon, and I need to get another like 30,000 good words in on it before it's ready to go to the editor. But I feel like I'm making good headway, and if I just keep up with this kind of discipline and try not to beat myself up about it, then I should make it, she said
Yeah.
optimistically.
Yeah, I agree. So I made a few videos about this on the channel about time-based goals as opposed to word count goals. Because the same exact thing, I'd be like, I'm going to write 1,000 words a day or whatever. And then I wouldn't hit it and then I would beat myself up about it and you
Mhm.
get in the whole thing. And so then what I found was if I just say, okay, today I have 20 minutes.
Yes.
If I can write for that 20 minutes, then that counts. Doesn't matter what I write, how much I write, or I've got a half hour, I've got an hour today. I find that I get more done because I'm
Mhm.
like, because the other thing you can't account for is if you have ideas that day. So
Yep. Yep.
sometimes I sit down to write and I just have all the ideas in the world and they just come out and no big deal. And then other days I sit there and go, I got nothing. So, but I think over time, if you do more of a time based, like I'm just going to write when I can, do as much as I can without the pressure of the word counts, I think you end up writing more.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's one of the things that stood out to me after I had that one sort of success with NaNoWriMo. I actually won NaNoWriMo a couple of years ago. And, but it was because I stopped paying attention to my word count.
Hmm.
And just at the end of the month, I went back and I was, oh, let's see how much I wrote. And I had written 65,000 words. But,
Yeah.
if I had been trying to get, whatever the number is, it was 1,662 words a day, that would not have happened. That would
Yeah.
not have happened that way. So,
Because one day you might have written 500 and then the next day you write 2,000. You
yeah.
just, yeah. That's
And
really fun.
I have very well-meaning friends who try to, encourage me to do word sprints with them, and they're like, "Oh, and you can figure out how many words you can write in a sprint, and then you'll know how." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, that does not work for me."
Yeah.